All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm sure more people will jump in as we're going. So hello everyone who is watching now or watching after the fact. Welcome to our Facebook Live virtual tour. If anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will respond as soon as I can. Our current exhibition right now is In the Light of Day by Michelle Phillips. This is Michelle's second solo show here at Venvi Gallery, and we're so happy to have her works on display with us again. So at this point, let's just get started walking through everything. Let me flip the camera over. So I will be taking you through the whole gallery to show all of the paintings in the exhibition. Obviously nothing beats seeing them all in person though. So please stop by anytime during our business hours, Wednesday to Sunday, 12:30 to 5:30. And In the Light of Day will be up and viewable until October 9th. So you still have over a month to come see this incredible show. We will also be having another reception at the start of next first Friday, so the first Friday in October. So please keep an eye out for that. So let's jump right into it. So these front three pieces on display right now are Florida Finds, Treasures, and Rainbow Beam. These are all oil on panel and 24 by 24 inches. These three paintings are all sold separately, but we think that they look really great all together, which is why they are on our front display. And I think they really highlight all of the great parts of this show. So jumping into things with Florida Finds. Here is a more detailed view of it. You can see there's a sense of almost a collective cohesion in a lot of these still life paintings where there's a lot of separate pieces that all come together to create the very natural and home-like effect. A lot of these paintings are set up on a glass panel in the still life, so you can see the reflection of the trees behind us, and it gives you a scope outside of what the canvas would normally show. It adds a really unique perspective to a lot of these paintings. Over here we have Treasures. You can kind of see how the table almost connects over to Treasures here and goes back down to this last painting, which shows how cohesive all of these works go together. This one really highlights shells and fruit, which are a big motif of this exhibition, as well as, of course, this antique glassware that many of the objects are sitting on or are the forefront of importance. You'll see this in many of the other paintings in this exhibition. These really are evocative of Florida and just the naturalistic things that come with it. You can even see the Florida Times newspaper in the background here, really pulling everything together. Finally, over here, we have Rainbow Beams. This is a great example of how light plays such an important part in all of these paintings, hence the title, Light of Day. In this one, you can see the kind of rainbow reflections, as the title suggests, and you can also see specks within this glassware here as well. How the light is reflecting off of all of these objects, both the glasses, even some of the fruit at times, and the glass table that it all sits apart on, are seen throughout this exhibition and really add a super unique character to all of these paintings. Not only are these super cohesive in how they all fit together frame-wise, they also have such a specific color palette that really fits well within each painting and all together in the exhibition as a whole. So here are the three big paintings in the front. Moving onwards, here we have Orange and Cream. This is also oil on panel and is 24 by 18 inches. What's really interesting to note is the frames that are housing many of these paintings. They were all made by Michelle herself, and they really add such a nice character to all of the paintings. So in this one, you can also see these reflections of light. In this one, you can even see the reflection of the house in the glass sitting there, really adding such unique perspectives. And of course, this antique glassware makes another appearance. And you can see in the color palette used, those same colors muted create the reflections around it, creating such a vibrant photo. All right, as we walk deeper into the gallery, we have much more on display. These 3 pieces are all 10 by 10 inches and are all oil on panel. First up, we have Kiwi Star. As you'll see in these 3 pieces, as well as many of the other paintings in the gallery, fruit is a major theme in all of the paintings, and many of the setups include some type of fruit set on a glassware of sorts, with either some kind of background, whether it be a tablecloth or a ruffly bed sheet or whatever. And all 3 of these have a similar theme to them. So Kiwi Star, of course, features the kiwi on a star plate with this pink background. Next, we have Orange at 2 p.m. This one was painted in 2019, so it's really cool to see the evolution and how the painting has changed from 2021 back in 2019. And then finally, we have Korean Pear at 2 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Some of these paintings were in fact done while Michelle was visiting Hawaii, hence the title of this piece. So it's neat to see kind of the influences of both Hawaii and Florida in her paintings. Once again, all of these paintings are available for purchase on our website, so please check that out for more information on Michelle Phillips, the show, and each of the paintings. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. All right, moving on, we have the 2 sets of shell study. Right here we have Shell Study 1 and Shell Study 2. I'll definitely zoom in so you can see the details in all of these paintings. When most people come in, their first comment is that they thought that these were actual shells pinned against a board. And they're a bit taken aback when they realize that they are actually painted. I think this is a great contrast in the show, as it really focuses on Michelle's use of her brushstroke to create things that are both very realistic but still have their own unique charm that are very obviously painted by her in her style. I think the use of color is also definitely beautiful here and adds to that. The title of Shell Study is reminiscent, as well as how these are framed, of butterfly collecting and how they're pinned in shadow boxes. Michelle was going for a similar approach here, except with shells. And I think that's exactly what they look like, which is really neat to see. They have more of almost a scientific approach to how they were painted and framed. So both Shell Study 1 and Shell Study 2 are being sold in a set. These are all gouache on all media board with the distinctive frames. that they are in, and they are all 8.5 by 8.5 individually, but if lined up similar to this, they're 8.5 by 25.5 inches. All right, next up, we have Tall Grasses. This is another oil on panel piece. It is 20 by 16 inches, painted in 2019. This features quite a different subject than the rest of the show, focusing more on a landscape, but it still has the touches of colors and textured brushstrokes that are distinctly Michelle Phillips. There are definitely elements of impressionism in this painting, especially the way that the water and the lily pads are done, and the reflections of the clouds in the sky. And once again, this piece, like many others in this collection, is oil on panel. All right, next up, we have a very fun selection of pieces. Right here we have Garden Succulent 1, Garden Succulent 2, Succulent from Olivia's Garden, and underneath that, Pineapple Ginger. These pieces are all sold separately, but look very great all together in this kind of almost upside down triangle that they're set up in. These are 9 by 10.5, the 3 outside ones, and the one in the middle is 12 by 14 inches. So these provide also a really great contrast, showing a kind of different approach to creating art for Michelle, in that these are created with pen on recycled panel, excuse me. They provide a great contrast and really show just another element of the different mediums that Michelle can work in. And I think having these all surrounded by the much more detailed centerpiece, Succulent from Olivia's Garden, is a really neat way of framing everything. This piece, as with some of the others that I'll show later on, really focuses on the primary figure with a rather blank background, really making all of the elements in it pop. These individually would be great gifts for Christmas. And their kind of hexagon shapes provide a really neat look hung up. All right, so we keep going. We are in our other part of the gallery. A quick overview of everything in here. And of course, we'll go into more detail on all of these paintings. So the next 2 paintings that we have are 2 of the biggest pieces on display here for In the Light of Day. This is Winter Citrus. It is oil on canvas, and it is 38 by 38 inches. This, as with some of the pieces shown in the front of the gallery, really play on that kind of eclectic cohesion of bringing all of these elements together. Something in this piece and many of the others that I found really, really interesting has to do with Michelle's kind of view on the still life. So she's inspired by the history of the still life as it relates to the domestic space as well as femininity. This genre of art for a long time was looked down on for its kind of woman-centric way that it was framed. And Phillips kind of takes this and embraces it as an instrument of empowerment, celebrating these kind of quaint scenes from the home as they provide this element of safety and serenity. And I think that's really, really neat way of kind of analyzing these paintings. as despite all of these separate figures, they come together and create quite a peaceful scene. You can see here the glass table reflecting the house behind them. This tablecloth, which looks very similar to some of the other tablecloths that we've seen. So you can definitely see how Michelle is using a lot of similar figures and similar objects in these still lifes and giving them new life in each painting. Obviously, we have that antique glassware making another appearance and having it shine like it always does in the bright colors. All right, and moving on, we have our second big piece. This is blue glass. This probably looks familiar to many of you. This was our primary promotional photo used on our social media campaigns, and definitely was used for a reason. This is a beautiful painting. You can see the mirror that is up at the top reflecting this blue glass, aptly named. And then we have the flowers and the cantaloupe are the main kind of figures in this painting. One of my favorite uses of color in this painting is this pink in kind of the bud of this flower. I think it really contrasts greatly with the rest of the colors in the piece and kind of directs your eye of where to go in such a big painting. And of course, with a title like In the Light of Day, you can definitely see how all of the lighting is reflected on every single surface here on this painting. So as I mentioned, this is also oil on canvas, as with the last painting, and is also 38 by 38 inches. All right, moving on. These two companion pieces are titled Lily Trio and Bloom. These are both 24 by 24 inches, and they are both oil on canvas. These also provide a unique kind of differing perspective from the remainder of the show, as they're less focused on creating a whole scene, but more so focused on kind of taking individual parts from a still life and really choosing what to focus on. So as you can see, both this painting, Lily Trio, and over here, Bloom, have this gray background, and in the midground of both of these paintings are almost incomplete selections of still life. So you can see there's parts of this, what could be a plate, some kind of half-painted, sketched out flowers. These flowers are even more evident in this piece. You can kind of see almost the start of an orchid there or some other flower there, but really choosing and being very selective about which flowers to really highlight. And of course, the colors in both of these paintings are absolutely beautiful. The orange and red hues with the pinks really pop against this gray background. All right, we're about halfway through the show, so I just wanted to remind everyone once again that all of these paintings are available on our website for purchase, as well as more information about the show itself and Michelle Phillips. So please check out our website for more information, as well as if there's anything you would like to purchase. This show will be going on until October 9th with another reception on the first Friday of October. So please feel free to come out anytime. Our operating hours are Wednesday through Sunday, 12:30 to 5:30. If you're out of town, I'm so happy to give you the experience of walking through the gallery, but if you're in town, nothing beats seeing these paintings in person, so please come out. We would love to have you at any time during our operating hours. All right, so let's get through the last half of this. So these two paintings right here are both works from 2019. Right here we have Orange with American Women Artist Book, 1830 to 1903. And here we have Matisse and Georgia O'Keeffe's Hawaii. Both of these are oil on panel with the classic frames handmade to house them in. And as I said, these were both painted in 2019. These, as well as a few other paintings, are from Michelle's previous show with us, Quiet Hours, and I find it really cool to kind of contrast how these were framed to some of the more recent paintings from 2021 and 2022. You can really picture this kind of simple serenity in these photos, or these paintings, that are definitely an overarching theme for this show as a whole, but kind of done so in a different way. I love kind of the background that you could maybe not even notice upon first glance. And this painting, as with some of the others I mentioned, were painted or inspired by Michelle's trip to Hawaii a few years back. All right, next we have Water Study. This is one of the more unique sizes of frames that we have. This is actually 12 by 24 inches and also oil on panel. With a name like Water Study, this is very similar to the Shell Study paintings in that they're more of an approach to painting, at least Michelle has said, of just really trying to capture what she's viewing, this water landscape. And you can definitely see from standing far back how clear of a view is created, but when looking up close, you can see these very intentional brush strokes, some using thicker amounts of paint, creating this almost 3D effect, and the beautiful use of colors, these mauves and purples and blues, all coming together to create this oceanscape. This is probably one of my favorite paintings in this whole exhibition. All right, and next we have Grapes for One. This piece, as well as many of the final pieces that I'll be showing you in this next room, all feature this pattern of having a fruit on top of a glass on top of some kind of ruffly material of sorts. I love the name Grapes for One, fitting for the amount of grapes that are on this plate. And of course, as with so many of the other paintings and as this show really explores, you can see that reflecting of light on the antique glassware, even on the grapes as they sit, really creating a vibrancy to this painting. All right, this is one of our final rooms. I love the layout of this one. This is going to feature many of the smaller paintings in this exhibition. So starting off, we have Lemon Tea. This is another oil on panel piece, 12 by 12, painted in 2022. Titled Lemon Tea, as it is a lemon with some tea. Many of these paintings in the setups for the still lifes, Michelle opts not to set the objects in the center of the table, but rather kind of put them in a place where you can see more of the surrounding landscape. So for example, in this painting, this is right towards the edge of the table, so you can see what could be a bush or flowers or grass of some sort just peeking out, which really adds a really neat perspective. All right, next we have Red Onion and Pink Plate. These are both 10 by 10 and oil on panel. These also have this wooden frame, although it doesn't protrude out past the painting. but creates a really neat effect once hung up. One of my favorite elements of Red Onion is how the background, either tablecloth or table itself, is almost an extension of this kind of top prickly part of the onion, really adding a lot of texture to the painting. And then pink plate, focusing on this antique glassware with some kiwis sitting atop it. All right, next we have Green Summer Days. I find this a really great contrast, especially compared to the surrounding pieces, as this piece features a still life on a windowsill, which is not one that we've seen, and of course also features this marvelous selection of green hues. There's so much light reflecting on every single part of this painting, and the wooden frame is the perfect selection, really tying everything together. All right, next we have Ruffle and Citrus Spice. These are also both oil on panel and both 10 by 10. Ruffle features this apple in this glass bowl sitting on some sort of comforter or pillow or ruffled sheet, as the title suggests. And of course, as with all the other paintings, this reflective light on the apple and the glassware. Apologies for repeating myself, but it is such a cool aspect of the paintings. And in Citrus Spice, we have this grapefruit type juice with this hair clip, and the background is a tablecloth that has different spices on it. So there's mint, thyme, basil, and others, which is how the title was created. And finally, we have Sweet Summer. This is also oil on panel and is 12 by 12, painted in 2021. This features cantaloupe once again on this beautiful pink antique glassware, with this ruffled tablecloth of sorts sitting behind it. I think the choice of colors here really emphasizes this cantaloupe, with the gray background almost fading and allowing the pinks and the orange hues to pop. And then the final two paintings in this section of the gallery are Measurements, which is 12 by 12, oil on panel, painted in 2020, and Banana Trio, which is also 12 by 12, painted in 2020, and you guessed it, oil on panel. I really love the contrasting colors in these two paintings, the blue, kind of faded blue background, the faded pink. Obviously, these are sold separately, but I do think they look really great together as well. Would be perfect for, as with many of these paintings, a nice something to hang over a kitchen of some sorts, I think. Would be a great location. Measurements, aptly named for the measuring cup as well as the measuring stick behind it. And Banana Trio, featuring this trio of bananas. All right, we are now down to our last two paintings in the exhibition. So here we have Pandemic Reflections 1 and 2. These are also companion pieces, sold separately though. So if one catches your eye more than the other, you are more than welcome to go on our website or come to the gallery and purchase one of them. Pandemic Reflections 1 and 2 reflect a lot of the major themes seen in the light of day. We have this antique glassware and, of course, the use of light. We have the glass table reflecting a differing perspective on these paintings. But another interesting aspect of this piece is kind of comparing the world today with the world of the past, hence the name Pandemic Reflections. So there's kind of this collection of both old and new in these paintings. So we have this antique glassware, this oat kind of advertisement from 1932, which can also be seen here, paired with a newspaper dating COVID-19 cases. So you can definitely see where Michelle's head was at when she was painting these, kind of reflecting on the times of the past to the current ones, and has much really even changed since then. All right, and with those paintings, we're now wrapping up our virtual tour of the gallery. Thank you all so much for joining us, either live or watching after the fact. Like I've mentioned before, all of these pieces are available on our website, so please check it out to learn more information about In the Light of Day, about Michelle Phillips, and about each of these paintings. We also have all of our other artists' artwork on display on our website, as well as a selection in our back room, so definitely come in person to check out if you want to see any of those. And if you ever have any questions about the purchasing process or anything else, you can definitely leave us a message or contact us through our website or email. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you in the gallery soon. You all have a great rest of your day.